I want to show you a propagation technique I've been using this year to really get some great results. And this is really good if you're just wanting to do, say, maybe a plant or two at a time. It's not going to work if you're wanting to do a bunch of cuttings, but I can show you some alternate methods for sticking a bunch of cuttings at once that are similar to this, but this works really great for just one plant at a time. And so far, everything I've tried it on, it's worked. It's worked on all the privets I've done. A lot of the stuff that's known to be easy to root, it's done real well on. I'll be getting in probably some trickier stuff as I experiment with this a little bit. But each day when I'm out, I like to grab a couple of waters. And so you can see this is a large cup right here. You can use anything that kind of mimics the idea of what I'm getting at here. But I like to use a large cup and say a medium cup, and use that as the humidity dome. And it's good to get the medium cup because you can stick it down in there and the wind won't blow the cup off the top of it and everything. But you can see one that I've done right here already. This is an Austree willow. Willows are notoriously easy to root, almost to the point that I don't even need to use that for this. But some of the other willows that I'm doing, like the dappled willows, I'm really keen on getting these going, so I don't want to mess it up. And I found that these root real well in water, and I can pot these up into my system, and just within a couple of days I can take the cup off and have a plant. So I can make plants really quick out of these, especially with the willows. But over here I'll show you my little rack. Now this is kind of one of the big things about propagation is you got to take your plants through stages, and it's real easy to lose them at any point if you're not attentive. And I tend to get impatient, and I'll lose a lot of stuff because I won't check on it and keep things, keep the moisture levels regulated and everything. But one plant that I really love doing is Gold Vickery. It's a privet, and you can see here's one that I've set up already, and you can see I've got two per. Now every now and then you want to come through and just check it, make sure. Like in this, I've got roly-polies crawling around and army worms. They'll mess you up. any kind of little critter like that, they'll play with the plant and chew on it and do all kind of stuff with it. So that's one of the things you want to keep an eye on them. But that's kind of the general idea. I don't even really use root tone. A lot of times, if you just get the conditions right, and the main idea is you want to keep the humidity up around the cutting while the roots are getting established. And one of the good things about the cup is you can, just water it one time and you don't have to do it anymore. One of the big reasons you lose cuttings is the rooting zone stays too damp, and this will allow the cup to kind of dry out while giving the cutting some moisture from the humid air inside the cup. That way you don't have to keep adding moisture, and it can dry out some, and you don't really have to even add water to it. I mean, a lot of these when you put the cup on there, you don't even have to add water at any point during the rooting process. If it does seem like it's getting really light and you notice that the humidity's not as dense on the cup, you can add a little bit of water until it gets past, and then to harden them off, a lot of times if you see the roots in the cup, you can go ahead and take it off. But other times the roots will be going, and you can take the cup off, and the plant, as long as it holds its firmness, as long as these leaves hold their firmness while the top is off, then you know that you got a plant that you can go ahead and remove the cup. And that's one of the big goals, is you don't want to remove the cup too early, but you want to play around with getting that cup off, because the quicker you can get it normalized in a regular humidity without it going limp on you, the better. Because that's one of the big things with the propagation, is that things tend to rot, especially this time of year. We're in July, and our area hadn't been exceedingly hot compared to other years, but when it gets really warm, sometimes it might be best to take some of your propagation stuff and bring it inside and just let it sit on a windowsill during the really hot times, because of the heat will sometimes throw a monkey wrench in what you're trying to do. But yeah, that's the basic idea, and I'll show you some that I've hardened. You know, I'll just take them over here, and there's a tree right here that gives a good bit of shade and broken sunlight. And these are the Vickery privets. They're just kind of sitting over here hardening. And one of the big things inside the cup, sometimes you'll see, you may not see the roots, but you may see this new growth coming out. That's always a good sign that the plant, the cutting has become active, and you could probably experiment with removing the cup. And many times what I like to do, if I'm trying to find out if the cutting is ready to go, I'll take the cup off at night, and when I come back in the morning, if the leaves are still firm, then that means they can continue on. And you want to check it throughout the day just to make sure it doesn't get limp. But you know, if you come back in the morning and the leaves have gone limp, you want to put the cup back on, and they'll perk back up and everything. But yeah, these are really really fun. It's a really fun little technique to try out. And you could also, I've done videos in the past on just using these clear bins. You could use clear plastic, put your cups down in there. A lot of it is situating your setup to where you're getting a little bit of sunlight, not a lot. Here's the northern side of the house. You can see it's getting some broken sunlight here under the trees and everything. You don't really want to give them a lot of afternoon sunlight because it can get heated up for them. But I'll sometimes maybe fill this with sand, and you could stick your cuttings in. Like, some things would work real good for something like, say, forsythia or even the privets. You could just fill your bin with sand and just stick them in there and water it in. Make sure you got holes, cover it with plastic, and they'll root. A lot of stuff will do really good like that. I find that sometimes of the year things are just work wonderfully, and other times of the year things will rot. So each type of plant has its own, you know, just idiosyncrasies in terms of what it can handle. Like these elderberry here, they tend to rot really easily when it gets really warm. But when it's cool, oh man, they just incredibly high rate of propagation. But yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you. I hope you enjoyed that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll be doing more just gardening related, nursery related stuff. Just, I guess, my version of gardening, which is a little oddball because I'm also trying to sell plants, but I'm also trying to grow stuff. So I'll be talking about stuff that maybe normal gardening channels wouldn't be all that interested in. But yeah, subscribe. We'll have a good time and talk about a lot of fun little topics.